Spending time in my parents' backyard has always been one of my favorite things to do ever since I was a little kid. To kick off this spring season, I will be painting some simple, beginner-friendly florals inspired by my mom's garden. I will teach you how to paint 6 different flowers, and in part 2 of this tutorial, we will combine them and put them in a bouquet. The first flower we are going to paint is a tulip. You will need some basic watercolor materials, which includes a palette, some paintbrushes, watercolors, and some watercolor paper. For my tulips, I'm going to use mostly orange, a little bit of yellow, and a little bit of red. We are going to paint 3 petals for our tulips. You'll notice that they are pretty thick on top and become more narrow down at the bottom where they are going to connect. Depending on how open your tulips are and what angle you might be looking at them, I'm going to add a few little petals on top of the 3 that we just painted to give the illusion that there are petals behind the 3 bigger petals that we just painted. I am now going to come in with that crimson, that red, and just kind of speckle that in while my petals are still wet. The more pressure that I apply to my brush, the thicker the line will be. Now going to come in with a green and paint the stems of our tulips. You'll also notice with tulips the leaves are rather long and thin. Next up, we are going to paint some Larkspur, and I'm going to be using a light blue and a darker blue for this flower. The blooms will start rather small, and we're going to get a little bit bigger as we go down. I am doing about 3 petals. They almost look like little chicken footprints, but we are going to stagger them and make them about an inch apart as we move down our paper. And while the light blue flowers are still fairly wet, you're going to come in with that darker blue and just do a little dot at the base of those blooms. Next, we are going to get a smaller brush and our green, and we're going to start connecting these flowers together like so. Next, we are going to paint an iris, and in real life, these flowers look a little complicated and a little overwhelming. So for this tutorial, we are going to simplify them a little bit, and you'll just need a purple and a yellow. We are first going to paint 2 petals that almost look like little mice ears at the top. And then we are going to paint 2 smaller petals at the bottom of those. And then 1 larger petal at the bottom. And notice that I left the center white because we are going to come in with our yellow. I am adding a little bit more purple around the edges of these petals to just bring in a little bit more color. And then I'm going to add that yellow to the center of the iris. Dry, we are going to come back in to add some details and add some leaves and stems to our irises. After doing the details of our irises, I'm going to stay with my smaller brush to create the stems and the leaves for them as well. Next, we are going to paint some lavender, and notice I'm using a very pointed and thin brush, and I'm using a purple and a magenta. I am lightly tapping my paper to create these small petals, and I am kind of stacking them on top of each other. Going to add our stems and some leaves to our lavender. Next, we are going to paint some daisies. I'm going to do a yellow center for mine with some pink petals. When creating these petals for our daisies, you'll notice that with my brush, I am going from very light pressure to a little bit more pressure and then lifting again my brush up. So you'll see I'm going from thin and a little bit thicker towards that center of the petal and then back to thin. And last but not least, we are going to just do some really fun and simple wildflowers. I'm going to do some red, orange, and yellow ones, and they each are going to have about 5 petals. They almost look like little stars. I'm also going to do a few little buds as well. Next, we're going to connect all the flowers and the buds with a green stem. I also decided to add some little rounded leaves to add a little bit more greenery as well. A little dot in the center of each of the flowers. I hope you enjoyed learning how to paint these 6 different flowers. Thank you so much for painting with me today, and if you want to learn how to put them all together in a bouquet, I encourage you to check out part 2.